of good players, Osaka. So it's going to be challenging for Joe. I think the interesting thing for players that previously in the previous year had a great year to come back after that first terrific year and then try to defend with a different landscape, different set of expectations. Yeah. So today's match in Sydney, I think, for Jo Konta is very important. She was tremendous last night against Eugenie Bouchard. So I think she's ready to break through and she's ready to handle the pressure.
Okay, I think this is the most interesting part of the women's draw. Line 125, 26, 27, 28. That is danger for Serena Williams, isn't it? She's been to Auckland, wasn't a great start for her. She comes up against Belinda Bencic. You know, she's capable of doing anything. Lucy Safarova, what a floater, sitting at 126.
Yeah, I mean, this is a brutal section of the draw. Belinda Bencic fighting off some injuries in the last 12 months or so. You know, was playing some terrific tennis about 14 months ago, has struggled a little bit, but she knows how to play big-time tennis. She knows how to feel confident. And for the great players like Serena, it's always about how you manage those first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
And for the ladies, with the 2 out of 3 sets, they have a little less time, a little more sense of urgency in that first match to start playing well. So this is a tremendous matchup. I'll be very interested to see how Serena handles the pressure. I'll be interested to see how
when it's drawn, that's all verified. It's off with the copiers now. We're moving on to the men's singles draw. Once through 8. First drawn onto line 32. We have seed number 5, Kai Nishikori. Line 64. We have seed number 7, Marin Cilic. Line 65. We have seed number 6, Gail Monfils. Completing that section on line 97. Number 8 seed, Dominic Thiem. 9 through 12 now. First drawn onto line 17. Seed number 10, Thomas Burditch. Line 49 is next. Seed number 12, Joe Wilfred Songer. Line 80. We have seed number 9, Rafael Nadal. Line 112. We have seed number 11, David Goffin. Sixteenth seed, Lucas Pouillet. Line 48. We have seed 14, Nick Kyrgios. Line 81. We have seed 13, Roberto Bautista Agut. And on line 113, we have seed 15, Grigor Dimitrov. We now move on to 17 through 24. We have on line number 9, seed number 19, John Isner. Line 24 is next. Seed 17, Roger Federer. Line 41. We have seed 22, Pablo Cuevas. Seed 56.
Line 56.
Line 56, we have seed number 23, Jack Sock. Line 73, we have seed 24, Alexander Zverev. Line 88, we have seed number 21, David Ferrer.
Que en el lado de Morri Federer, weón.
And completing that group of seeds on line 120. We have seed number 18, Richard Gasquet. We now complete our remaining 8 seeds, seeds 25 through 32. First one drawn onto line 8. We have seed 31, Sam Querrey. Line 25. We have seed 26, Albert Ramos Vinalos. Line 40. We have seed 29, Victor Troitsky. Line 57. Seed 27, Bernard Tomic. Line 72. We have seed 32, Philip Kohlschreiber. Line 89. We have seed 25, Gilles Simon. Line 104. We have seed 28, Feliciano Lopez. And completing our men's singles draw on line 121, seed number 30, Pablo Carrera Busta. Thank you very much, Daniel, and have a great tournament. Thank you.
And maybe at the end I'll talk a little bit about what we're thinking on the matchups, but you have the chance to Paul.
Bring Paul Anacone back up again. And Paul, let's just take another look at that. Some really interesting matchups coming up. If we can have the first quarter put up, please. There we go. So for Andy Murray, world number one, takes on Ilya Marchenko. Nice start for Andy.
Yeah, that's going to be a good rhythm match for him. I think Andy's coming in, obviously, with a new landscape now as a number one player, but, you know, he's handled pressure so well throughout his career. Going to be very interesting to see how Alex de Minaur pulls up after the injury last week. I got to see him play the last couple of weeks. Great young player. Just hoping he's fit. And, of course, we know what the big serving Sam Querrey and John Isner in that area can do as well with their danger. And let's not forget about the great young Frenchman, Luca Pouille, number 6.
How about, I think by my count, 8 qualifiers in this small section of the draw. That's quite incredible. They're loaded in there, aren't they?
Yeah, it's all matched together. Very strange seeing 17 next to Roger's name.
Yes, but it gets tougher for Roger if we're to look ahead slightly in the section there with Thomas Burdick and Kei Nishikori sits in there. That's a pretty interesting little quarter of the draw.
Look, I mean, this whole tournament this year is so exciting for tennis, especially seeing some of the new faces, and then you throw in the comebacks of Roger and Rafa, who finished the year with the delay last year, seeing how they pull up. So a lot of excitement right here, and I think for Roger, because he's been here so often, knows how to prepare. I don't see it being a huge issue. It's always difficult, though, playing the qualifiers because they got some matches under their belt. They've gotten through the qualifying, got a sense for what's happening, and then you're not going to know who plays till just a couple days before the tournament. So a little bit of a different mentality, and as you mentioned, a bunch in that area.
I mean, you've worked with Roger, you know his game almost as well as anybody. You saw him at the Hopman Cup in Perth. You think he was looking as good as Roger does?
Yeah, he's playing very well, and he's one of these guys that I think historically can get his play at a very high level very quickly. Doesn't need a ton of match repetition at this age or stage to feel confident. We saw a bunch of that already in Perth. So for him, it's going to be about his fitness level and also about just getting that rhythm early in the tournament.
Okay, let's move on to the second quarter, please. Stan Wawrinka. I mean, he flies under the radar for some reason, and he's the current US Open champion, won 1 slam each of the last 3 years. We don't talk about him much. What do you think of his section?
Well, what I think is Stan's pretty good in big matches. And it's a tough section for him. Clison's dangerous, and if he gets past that Del Bonis, the American Stevie Johnson, it doesn't get much easier. So he's going to have to start out with a pretty high level to get into this tournament, and we've seen him a little bit vulnerable at times.
You whispered in my ear you thought it was a good draw for Nick Kyrgios at the 14th seed there.
I do. I think that's a good draw for Nick because a lot of the players that he plays, it's going to be about what Nick does. They're going to have to react to his power and his shot selection. Again, with Nick, so much of it's going to be about, you know, his mental preparation. How much is he ready to deal with expectation and all the stuff that comes with being Nick Kyrgios and with being a great player? We've seen some maturation from him, but here everything is going to be magnified. So a good test for him.
Number 57. Another Australian perspective, Bernard Tomic taking up Thomas Bellucci. There's been a little bit of discussion about Bernie's training and fitness coming in. Bellucci's going to make him
section right there. And then at the top, don't forget about Borna George, who's getting over an injury. We're going to see how we've heard so many good things about him. How is he pulling up this year? Phil Kohlschreiber had to pull out with an injury last week. Is he fit? And of course, the ever dangerous Gael Monfils up at the top. If he can get through a good start at the beginning, last year we saw a lot of very consistent results for Gael. So that's going to be a lot of talent and a lot of shot making in that section.
From a homegrown perspective, Omar Jessica has a wild card. He won the Australian Open wild card playoff here in December. This is a big moment for him coming up against one of the, the player of this year. You could say the best player to never win a Grand Slam.
Absolutely, and Ferrer doesn't give you anything very easily. He's had a couple losses, has Ferrer, to start the year that showed a little bit of vulnerability, but he's such a great competitor. And Omar Jessica got to the finals of the Challenger a week before last. He's playing very good tennis. He won the wildcard playoff, so he's starting to feel comfortable at this level, has the skills and shot-making ability to play at the highest level, so that's a great test for both of those players.
There's a real floating match that'll draw lots of interest in Dustin Brown and Milos Raonic. I think we'll see plenty of big serving, and
it won't be boring.
No, Dustin brings a lot of excitement to it, doesn't he?
Yeah, a lot of great firepower, and then a few really nice young Americans in that bottom section. Michael Moe got the reciprocal wild card from the USTA, starting off against Gilles Simon. That's a very tough matchup for him. Simone's so difficult to penetrate the defensive. Jared Donaldson's played some terrific tennis. We saw it last year at the U.S. Open, and of course Taylor Fritz getting to the finals of Memphis last year plays Gilles Muller, who started off the year sick in Brisbane, but Muller's playing very well this week in Sydney. So that section has a lot of exciting tennis right from the first hit.
Okay, the last quarter of the draw, it looks like this. Novak at the bottom. We haven't seen him down the bottom for quite a while. And I think of all of the matchups in the men's, that one right there is the one everybody's going to be talking about.
Yeah,
Fernando Verdasco.
Yeah, that jumps out at everybody. I think everyone here remembers what Fernando did against Rafa last year here. And let's not forget, just about a week ago, Fernando had 6 match points against Novak in the start of the year in Qatar. So he's not afraid of the big matches. He's able to play with the big boys, and that is going to be an amazing first-round matchup.
His 16s is filled with some good seeds. Karina Buster, Richard Gasquet stands out, but Grigor Dimitrov winning in Brisbane. I called most of his matches.
Le tocó durísimo a Djokovic. Le pasó lo mismo que en los Juegos Olímpicos, weón. No puede ser el peor rival que puede tener en primera ronda.
There, Christopher O'Connell, the young Aussie wildcard first round for Dimitrov. That's a big task for O'Connell to go up against Grigor, who had 3 top 10 wins in Brisbane, got really comfortable. I know he and Danny Valverde have done a ton of hard work. Grigor is back on track, playing how he can play with all those tremendous skills that he has. So the Dimitrov section's interesting, because if we get to see the Gasquet-Dimitrov third round, there's going to be a lot of repertoire on the shot arsenal from both of those guys.
One final question for you. We've talked a lot about the top 4 or 5. Do you think there's any of the younger generation? You mentioned Zverev, there's Nick Kyrgios. Can any of them make a breakthrough here at the Open?
Oh, absolutely. And Nick Kyrgios, it's about Nick Kyrgios. There's no reason he can't. We've seen him come close before getting to the quarterfinals. It's about stringing all those matches together, 3 out of 5 set, which is tough for Nick. I think Zverev's probably closer mentally to be able to deal with that. Nick's closer physically and talent-wise to be able to deal with that. But those are the 2 names. And kind of the last thing I want to say is, let's not forget about 96-year-old Tommy Haas, who's still in the draw. I mean, 15 surgeries. He's a great competitor, a great ambassador for the game, and to see him healthy playing again, it's just great that he's down here playing. I'm really happy about that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank Paul Annacone. Great job.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us this morning. Craig, any thoughts on the draw or any more info that you'd like to give us before we leave this morning?
Well, just for a few minutes. I mean, we got a lot of decisions to make over the next few days. But on the women's side, very loaded bottom half of the draw. I think the first round match, Bencic and Williams, is the marquee match on the women's side, and then same side, Stosur and Watson as far as the local favourite. So there's quite a few decisions to make relative to schedule on that. And then on the men's side, some interesting things. I think the last time we had 2 brothers in the men's draw was maybe the Rockers brothers or even Sanchez. So having Misha and Alex Zverev on the men's is great, and Alex being one of the up-and-coming junior players. Interesting, watching, it's been a while since we have Tommy Haas back, 38 years old. He's playing Bernard Paire, who last week played the youngest player on the tour at 17. Alex de Minaur lost him. Now he's playing the oldest in the first round of the Australian Open. But the big match up there is, of course, the bottom one is Verdasco and Djokovic, and then probably the Australian key match up there is Jasika and Ferrer. But an even draw, 50-50, having Federer in there. I mean, fantastic.
Any idea when you will have a schedule out, or you'll let the world's media know who will be first up?
Well, we're going to make a decision on the top half and the bottom half. We've got things to consider. We still got Auckland finishing, Sydney finishing, Hobart finishing. So there's still events, weather considerations we've got to make. We've got to do a reevaluation of the injury situations and requests, and my pressure on Wayne to make the decision as soon as possible. So we put all that together, and we'll get the halves done, and then the draw schedule will be tomorrow sometime.
Tomorrow afternoon. I'd just like to get the qualifying finished first as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've got one little event that
yeah.
still running out there.
Well, let's hope the weather stays kind to you for
It's
the rest
been
of
good
the
at
day.
the moment. We've got our meteorologist on site. He's been pretty accurate so far. We've got some good weather next week. We've got added shade for spectators from more than last year. So, no, it's looking to be a great event.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Todd.
Wayne McEwen, our referee, Craig Tully, our tournament director. Have a great tournament from your perspective. To all our friends from the media, good luck to you, and I hope we can provide you with some great entertainment.
Under largely sunny skies, clouds, nothing to complain about.